All right, welcome back to the Author Speaker Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Siebold, and today's episode is sponsored by publicspeakersblog.com. Publicspeakersblog.com. Free video content every single week. It's all free. You're going to learn more about the speaking business, so check it out, publicspeakersblog.com. We've been doing that blog for about 12 years. It's a video blog, as I said, and it's really strong. Okay, so I want to talk about something that a lot of people have interest in and they don't really understand. And if you get this wrong, it's going to cost you. And almost everyone, I hate to say this because I don't want to be negative, but most people get this wrong. I mean, I've been in this business a long time, a quarter century, and I've seen so many people get it wrong. And I will tell you the truth in no uncertain terms. The only reason I got it right, and I did, was because I had guidance. I had the right guidance. I had people like Bill Gove, Bob Proctor, Larry Wilson, Mark Victor Hansen, people like that guiding my career. Cavett Robert, the founder of the National Speakers Association, Jim Cathcart, Brian Tracy. These people were all guiding me, my entire career from almost day one, really, because Bill Gove was my business partner. He was the father of the industry and their mentor. So they became my mentors. So I had all that. I learned the business very, very quickly because I had all the best mentors. And here's what it is. Writing your first book. Almost no one gets this right. They just don't. They write a book, they spend all time and money, and it sells 8 copies, and no one reads it. And it's just too bad because it's not because they're not talented enough to write it, usually, or anything else. It's that their strategy for writing the book was just poorly designed. They didn't know what they were doing. And then they get sold. As I mentioned in the last episode, one of the things that's always driven me nuts in this business is the get-rich-quick people out there promoting, and they're all over Facebook. I saw one last night on Facebook, and of course I had to put my 2 cents in and tell them, they ought to be ashamed of themselves for promoting this. Oh, you can write a book in 30 days. You can write a book in 60 days. Yeah, you can write a book. It'll suck, but you can write a book. I mean, a book is a lot of work. I've written 12 books. I know a little bit about writing, but I've sold almost 2 million copies. I know something about writing books, and if you do it right, it's a lot of work. Og Mandino gave the best advice on how to write a book. He said, the harder a book is to write, the easier it is to read. I'll say it again because it's worth repeating. The harder a book is to write, the easier it is to read. And that's what you're looking for, is ease for the reader. You want it to be easy and enjoyable for the reader, or they won't keep reading and they'll never read another book or anything else you write. It's got to be done. You don't do that in 30 days. 30 days? You got to be kidding me. It takes 30 days to do an outline of a book. I'm working with 6 authors right now. I'm coaching to become authors. That's one of the things we do in our author speaker private coaching course. I got 6 people right now. I got a gentleman in France, a business executive in France, business executive in Australia, and then some in the United States and Canada. And I'm doing 6 different books right now. And of course, the first thing they say, and I don't blame them, I get it because they're new. They say, it's taking a long time and we're 3 or 4 months in and, we're just kind of getting started. Right. Because if you do it right, it takes time. It's like everything else in life. Whatever you put in is what you get out. If you're going to do a 30-day book, don't expect it to be quality. It's going to suck. All right. And worse than sucking and not selling anything is if it ends up selling. Now your words that were not crafted properly and didn't have the attention to detail necessary are all over the world. That's the worst thing that can happen is to become successful. And now everyone knows you're sloppy and you don't pay attention to detail. And you didn't really take the time to craft the words and to make sure that one word couldn't do the work of 3 words. These are things that every good writer knows. Okay, it's not. This isn't anything. I'm not saying anything that's revolutionary here. But when people have never written a book before and they go online, they see a Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and all these other places, and they say, oh, you can write a book. We'll sell you this package. We'll show you how to do it. Like this guy sold 18 gazillion books, and we game the system on Amazon to make it a bestseller. We'll tell everyone to buy your book on one day. It'll become a bestseller. Yeah, it's a phony bestseller. Yeah, right. Okay, fine. You're not going to cheat quality. Please, you know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, right? You may not know this business, or you might, depending on who you are, but you probably know your business real well, okay? And you're telling me the same thing in your business. You know, if you're a lawyer listening to this, or a doctor, or a small business owner, an entrepreneur, and you go, Seabold, I could tell you things about, you know, the mechanization business that you wouldn't believe. You got to do it right. You got to do it safely. You have to do it this. You got to comply with OSHA. You got to, yeah, right, exactly. That's every business. That's life, right? You want quality, you put the time and effort into it, or you don't get quality. That's the way it works. So a lot of the reason people get it wrong is because they listen to these charlatans who are propagating this nonsense because they're trying to make money off it. Why do they do it? Well, it's profitable. You tell people they can get rich quick, or they can write a book in 30 days, they'll buy it because they go, well, if it's that easy, tell me how, guru. And the guru makes a bunch of money, and you have a crappy book that no one reads. So I was told to really take the time. I was making over $1 million a year, if you can believe this, over $1 million a year as a professional speaker before I had a book. Why? Because Larry Wilson, the late great Larry Wilson, my mentor in the corporate market, the highest grossing corporate speaker that ever lived, the founder of Wilson Learning, which is has offices in 82 countries. Okay, this guy was an absolute genius. He mentored me for 15 years, and I was making over $1 million a year. And Larry turned down everything I would put together and write on mental toughness. He'd say, Steve, you're not saying anything different. He goes, you got to discipline yourself. Focus, be mentally tough in your own book. You know. He said, you're saying the same thing as everybody else. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And he worked through the process of writing a great nonfiction book. And eventually, I showed him the manuscript for a book called 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class, which became an international bestseller. It's been out since 2004. It's sold hundreds of thousands of copies to date. It's in 6 languages. And it was my first book when I'd never written a book before. Why? Because Larry Wilson gave me the strategy. He gave me the blueprint. He told me the truth. You know, I wasn't paying Larry Wilson. You know, he was my mentor because of Bill Go, because of a lot of reasons. But bottom line was I was getting straight advice. You know, I was speaking on a program in Mexico City with Mark Victor Hansen, right in the middle of writing the 177 book. And we were backstage, and I was about to go on, and Mark was going on after me. I said, Mark, you know, Chicken Soup for the Soul, you sold 500 million copies at that point. I think now it's 1 billion copies, some insane number. And I said, you got one of the biggest books of all time. What's your best advice on writing a book? I'll never forget what he said. Right before I'm about to go on stage, he said, think of it like USA Today. Color, short chapters, short body copy, fun to read, easy language. He gave me like a 5-minute speech on how to do a book, and I wrote it down after I got off the stage, and I went and I redesigned the book to be completely, exactly to the specifications of Mark Victor Hansen, the guy, the genius, the real genius behind Chicken Soup for the Soul. It sold 80,000 copies in the first month. I mean, it was insane. We sold 20,000 copies right off the bat. If you're a non-celebrity author, that's unbelievable. That's a really big deal. This is before the internet. And not before the internet, but before Amazon was really big and that kind of thing. So point of it is if you get the right path and you get the right things down. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. For one, how does your book, who should read your book? You want to know who your reader is. Who's your avatar? Who's your reader? What do they want to learn? What do you bring to the book that other authors wouldn't bring? A point of view, a set of points of view, okay? My Mental Toughness, my 177 book, that's my core book. That's the book where we sold tens of millions of dollars in keynote speaking, training, and consulting. It's all based on that book, the whole thing. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable that it would be based on the whole thing. That book has been worth, millions and millions of dollars to us as an organization because that's my core book. Those are my core beliefs about mental toughness. And they're very hard hitting, according to some people. I don't think they're that hard hitting, but a lot of people do. And I hammer this middle class, what I call middle class thinking, this average person thinking. And I don't take too many prisoners. And some companies liked it, and we did turnarounds and helped companies overcome low performing teams and those types of things. And that meant hundreds of millions of dollars to some companies over the years. And so that's what made it different. That's what really entrepreneurs love that book. Some entrepreneurs love that book. They buy it every day, literally, and all over the world because it's written from an entrepreneurial point of view because I'm an entrepreneur. So it went over well. How is your book different? That's how my book's different. How is your book different? And then you got to edit it and work on it. Writing is the art of rewriting. Writing is the art of rewriting. You want to edit over and over till you're so sick of this book that you think every word is perfect in that book. That's when you put a book out. You don't put it out in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Those people are crooks. They should be in jail. It's wrong what they're doing. It's not illegal, but it's unethical, and it's damn near immoral. So don't listen to them. Put the time into your book. Get good guidance. That's why we have the Author Speaker Academy. It's one of the reasons. That's why I do the private coaching. So people put a book out they can be proud of. Because if you do, you'll build a whole speaking career on one core book. You can write more books, but your core book is always your core book. Because those core philosophies that you have don't change. So I can go on and on about this. I won't, because we're at the end of the episode. But we'll talk more about this again. You can learn all about this at the Author Speaker Academy. Go to cboldnetwork.com. Go to the online store. Click on Author Speaker Academy. It's $97 a month. I mean, and this is for 25 years experience. You'll get a ton of detailed information on this, okay? Don't try to do this alone, and don't go down the get-rich-quick road. You'll really be sorry you did. Most people do, and most people are sorry. We'll talk more about this in a future episode. And with that, I appreciate you watching, listening, or both, and we'll see you next time on the next episode.